The day I was supposed to see 100 grand hit my account, I saw 1,000 instead. I went straight to my boss's office to find out why. He slapped the pay stub onto his desk and barked. $100,000 bonus? Have you got dollar signs in your eyes? Our receptionist, Chloe, makes $2,000 a month. The janitor makes $1,500. What makes you so special? I forced my voice to stay steady. I generated $50 million in revenue for this company this year. According to my contract, this is what I'm owed. Don't you dare talk to me about contracts. His face flushed with anger. This company gave you the platform to succeed. Without us, who are you? I don't care about your numbers. I care about attitude. Other people are grateful for a couple grand, and you have the nerve to question me over this. He leaned forward, lowering his voice like a warning. Mention money again, and I'll dock that 1,000 too. After a long silence, I nodded. 1,000 it is. Noah Cross had been a bully in a tailored suit for so long he'd forgotten the simple truth. You get what you pay for. You're right, Mr. Cross, I said, my tone calm and smooth. I was being selfish, too focused on my own game. Cross blinked, clearly surprised by how quickly I folded. Then a slow, satisfied smile spread across his face as he leaned back like a king on a throne. That's more like it. You're young, Lana. Think long term. Don't get hung up on a little cash. Keep working hard and the company will take care of you. Understood, Mr. Cross. I'll get back to work. The second I turned away, I took a screenshot of the bank notification. From that moment on, every extra ounce of effort I gave this company would be a mistake. Back at my desk, the air felt heavier than usual. I could feel eyes on my back. Then Kevin, loud, smug, and always eager to impress the wrong people, started in. Well. Some people really think they're important, he said just loud enough. Take away the company name and who even knows who you are? A few junior reps snickered. I heard they cut her whole bonus. She only got $1,000. That's hilarious. I made more than that as an intern. She always acts like she owns the place. Mr. Cross is doing her a favor, and she's too dumb to see it. She's probably furious. The old me would have shut them down with numbers, receipts, and results. This version of me just swallowed the bitterness and said nothing. I checked the time. 5:01 p.m. Office hours were 9 to 5, but I used to stay until 8, sometimes later, chasing the fantasy that effort was always rewarded. Now I knew better. I began packing up, closed the half-finished PowerPoint without saving, and slid my laptop into my bag. My assistant, Lily, stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Lana, are you leaving? Yep. It's quitting time. She glanced at the clock, then leaned in. But Mr. Cross just posted in the group chat. There's a mandatory project review meeting at 6. Oh well. I shrugged. Company policy says the work day ends at 5. It's 5:01. I'm officially on my own time. Under Lily's horrified stare, I walked toward the elevator. And of course, Cross chose that moment to step out of his office and spot me with my bag over my shoulder. His expression hardened instantly. Lana, where do you think you're going? The elevator door slid open. I turned back with an innocent look. Home, Mr. Cross. The workday is over. Over. His voice rose sharply. We haven't had the review meeting. Is the proposal for tomorrow finished? You're walking out right now. I kept the doors from closing with my hand, my tone polite. Mr. Cross, you taught me something valuable yesterday. Not to think of myself as special. To compare myself more to Chloe at the front desk or the cleaning staff. My smile stayed steady. Chloe leaves at 5 on the dot every day. The janitor doesn't need to understand business analytics. And as for something as important as a project review meeting, a $1,000 employee like me shouldn't be taking up your valuable time. I released the button. The doors slid shut, cutting off his furious expression. His shout echoed down the hall as the elevator dropped. Lana, if that proposal isn't on my desk tomorrow, you're done. You should be so lucky. If I walked out for good right then, that 100 grand would vanish forever. He was trying to build a reason to fire me before he had to pay what he owed. Too bad, Noah. Salespeople don't just read clients. We read people. The next morning, I arrived at 9 a.m. on the dot. Cross stood near reception watching the entrance like a guard dog. He sneered when I walked in. Well, look who it is. Her Royal Highness decided to grace us with her presence right on time. I smiled brightly. Good morning, Mr. Cross. Following the company's attendance policy is every employee's duty. Arriving even a minute early would be a waste of company resources. A couple co-workers nearby choked back laughter. Cross's jaw twitched, but he didn't bite. He thrust out his hand. The proposal. Apex Corporation. The client is coming in at 10. Apex Corp was our biggest target of the year. A potential $20 million deal. Normally a proposal like that would take me days of research, deep analysis, competitive breakdowns, and careful tailoring to the CEO's preferences. But now I emailed it to you, I said. Ross narrowed his eyes and stormed back to his office. Less than 3 minutes later, a roar exploded from behind his door. Lana, get in here now. I walked in calmly. What's the problem, Mr. Cross? He jabbed a finger at his screen. This is your proposal? What is this? On the monitor was a thin, hollow deck, slick wording with no substance. I don't see the issue, I said evenly. It's professional, clear, high level. You call this a proposal? He slapped the desk. Where's the data? The competitor analysis? The execution plan? This is meaningless. I raised my hands. Mr. Cross, for $1,000 paycheck, what kind of depth were you expecting? I tilted my head as if I were genuinely trying to understand. And you said it yourself. The platform is what matters. With a platform as powerful as ours, surely we don't need my insignificant details to land a client. Cross went pale with rage. He stared at me like he couldn't believe I was real. This is deliberate, he hissed. This is misconduct. I can fire you on the spot. I didn't flinch. If you think I'm incompetent, you'll need evidence. Firing me without cause is wrongful termination. I smiled, pleasant, controlled. And that gets expensive. His stare sharpened into something colder. Fine. You wanna play? You're doing today's presentation. And if you mess this up, if you cost us this client, you're done. And you'll be held responsible. He shoved the printout at me. Get to the conference room. He had a point. A major failure could give him the excuse he wanted. But I'd already committed. Okay, I said. Desokloaki. At 10 a.m., Victor Sterling, the CEO of Apex Corp, sat across the table with his team, calm and powerful. Cross sat at the head of the table with an overly eager smile. His eyes kept darting to me. Save this. I turned on the projector and opened the deck. Good morning, I'm Lana, I said. Our approach for this partnership is summarized in the slides. Please take a few minutes to review. Then I sat down and looked at my phone like I had nothing in the world to prove. The room fell into stunned silence. Minutes passed. The client's patience thinned. Mr. Sterling set his pen down. Mr. Cross, is this serious? Sweat appeared on Cross's forehead. He sprang up. A misunderstanding, Mr. Sterling. Lana must have brought the wrong version. Lana, what are you doing? Explain. I looked up with innocent confusion. The wrong version? No, Mr. Cross, this is the version you taught me yesterday. I turned slightly toward the client. For $1,000 paycheck, who needs deep analysis? Then back to Cross. You also said the company's platform is powerful enough that you could handle it personally. My best contribution would be to stay quiet. Cross's face tightened, fury barely contained. Mr. Sterling stood, straightened his jacket, and gave a short, cold laugh. If you can't manage your own team, you can't manage our account. He nodded to his people. We're done. Don't contact us again. They left without another word. The moment the door closed, the conference room changed. The air went sharp and dangerous. Cross turned toward me, shaking, not just angry but frantic. You have no idea what you've just done. What happened next was chaos. Shouting, people moving, the scrape of chairs. In the confusion, I was hurt, badly enough that Lily rushed in afterward crying, trying to help me sit up. Lana, should I call for help? She whispered, trembling. I steadied my breathing and pulled out my phone. The recording icon was still blinking. I opened a social app and typed a title with careful, shaking fingers. 5-year sales champion, $100,000 bonus withheld. Retaliated against for asking why. Within minutes, notifications flooded in so fast the counter stopped displaying the number. No Cross, I thought, swallowing the pain. Try stopping this. But just as I hit post, the conference room door swung open again. Cross stood there, rage and panic twisted together. Behind him were 2 men in dark suits, expressionless, scanning the room. My stomach tightened. I gripped my phone. You thought a video would take me down? Cross snapped. You don't know who you're dealing with. He gestured sharply. Take her phone. Get her out of here. Lily cried out, stepping forward. Stop. Someone help. No one moved. Through the glass I saw coworkers frozen in place, staring like statues. I fought to keep my phone. In the struggle, it slid away and hit the floor, the screen cracking. But the recording continued because I'd said it that way. Strong hands grabbed my arms and forced me out while Cross followed behind. Voice clipped and cold. "Clean this up," he told Lily. "And don't say a word." They pushed me through a back exit and into a vehicle parked out of sight of the main lot. I tried to keep track of where we were going, but pain and adrenaline blurred time. When the vehicle finally stopped, they pulled me out and guided me into a rundown building that smelled like dust, old metal, and gasoline. Inside, Cross stood waiting. "You should have taken the 1,000, he said quietly. "Kept your head down. Done your job." "I wasn't greedy," I said, voice shaking. "I was owed that money." Cross's mouth curled. "In this world, the only mistake is being weak." He stepped closer. "Your video won't save you. Stories get buried. People move on." His words hit hard because one thing was true. I didn't have family to call. I built my whole life around work, around the results I delivered. And now he wanted to erase me. But I wasn't empty-handed. I reached into the pocket they hadn't checked and pulled out a small silver USB drive. "You can take my phone," I said, holding it up. "But I made backups." Cross's expression faltered. "I sent copies to multiple places," I continued. "If I don't check in by tonight, everything gets released." His face drained. "You're lying." "Am I?" I said, keeping my voice steady. "Check your inbox." He grabbed his phone, scrolling quickly. The color left his face as he read. For a long moment he said nothing. Then, tight and controlled, "Let her go." One of the men hesitated. Cross snapped. "Now." They stepped aside. Cross leaned in, voice low. "If you come near me again, you'll regret it." I met his stare. "If you come near me again, I'll make sure you answer for it." I walked out, legs unsteady, chest tight, but I didn't look back. Outside, I called for medical help. Then I called a lawyer, someone I'd already looked up earlier, someone who handled workplace abuse and contract disputes. At the hospital, the days blurred into bright lights, paperwork, and restless sleep. Lily visited me with flowers and a change of clothes. She told me the office had erupted into chaos after I was taken away. A few people quit. The video kept spreading despite attempts to bury it. "He's trying to spin it," Lily whispered. "He told the board you attacked him first. But the footage, it's too clear." I managed a small smile. "Good." On the fourth day, my lawyer came to see me. His name was Marcus Hale, sharp suit, sharper eyes. "We have a strong case," he said, placing a folder on my bed. "Contract breach, wage issues, retaliation, threats, and what happened in that room. We can seek significant damages," he added. "And we can push for criminal charges. The recording changes everything." I nodded. "I want him held accountable. Not just for me." Marcus nodded back. "We'll do everything we can. But Cross has money and connections. He'll fight dirty." "I know," I said. "So will I." Over the next few weeks, Marcus built the case. We gathered statements from Lily and a few others brave enough to step forward. We pulled records, patterns, and paper trails that suggested Cross had been cutting corners for a long time. Media attention grew. More people started talking. Former employees came out of the shadows with their own stories. Cross tried to strike back with legal threats, but the footage made it harder for him to control the narrative. Then, right before we were set to take the next step, I got a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was deep, gravely, and urgent. "Lana, we need to talk." "Who is this?" I asked, my pulse jumping. "Someone who knows what Noah Cross is really capable of," the voice said. "Someone who knows about the people he's killed." My blood ran cold. "Killed?" I whispered. "What are you talking about?" "Killed," I repeated, my throat tightening around the word. "What are you talking about?" There was a pause on the line, the kind that makes your brain fill the silence with worst-case scenarios. "Not the way you're imagining," the voice said quickly, as if he could hear my thoughts racing. "Not a back-alley hit. I'm talking about cover-ups, accidents, people who didn't come home, reports that got rewritten, cameras that mysteriously stopped working, the kind of kill that looks clean on paper." My grip on the phone hardened until my fingers ached. "Who are you?" I asked again. "Say your name." Another pause. "Elias Grant." The name meant nothing to me, but his tone carried the weight of someone used to being ignored until it was too late. "I used to handle sensitive situations," he said carefully. "For him. For the company." A cold edge slid down my spine. "You're saying you worked for Noah Cross?" "I worked near him," Elias replied. "Close enough to see what he is. And far enough to survive it. Until now." I swallowed. "Why are you calling me?" Because you went public, he said. And he panicked. I can hear it in the way people move when they're scared. He's making calls he hasn't made in years. He's trying to seal doors that don't seal. I stared at the blank wall of my apartment, my TV reflecting nothing but my own pale face. If you have evidence, I said slowly, you call the police. Or my lawyer. I tried, Elias said. It doesn't work the way you think it does when the person you're reporting has money, friends, and a habit of making problems disappear. My stomach turned. So what do you want from me? I want a way out, he admitted. I want protection. And I want him stopped. Not because I'm noble. Because I'm tired of living like this. The honesty was the only thing that kept me from hanging up. I have a lawyer, I said. Markus Hale. If you're real, you'll talk to him. Not me. Good. Elias said immediately. That's what I want. Put him on speaker. Right now if you can. I didn't. My instincts had learned the hard way not to give strangers anything they could use. I'm not doing that, I said. I'll have Marcus call you. Give me a number. I'm calling from a burner, Elias said. You won't reach it. Then tell me where, I countered. He exhaled. Tomorrow. 11 a.m. Public place. Bright. Cameras. People. No back rooms. Where? He named a cafe downtown near the courthouse. Busy, loud, impossible to control without being noticed. Bring your lawyer, Elias added. And don't come alone. You either, I said. A low sound came through the line. A grim little laugh. That's the first smart thing you've said since you walked into that conference room. The call ended before I could respond. I sat there for a full minute, phone pressed to my ear like I could pull him back through it. Then I moved. I called Marcus Hale and told him everything, every word, every detail, including the cafe location. Marcus didn't interrupt. When I finished, he spoke with the calm of a man who had seen ugly truths dressed up as normal life. I don't like surprises, he said. But I like leverage. We'll treat this as potentially real and potentially dangerous. What do we do? I asked. We don't go alone, Marcus said. We don't go without recording. And we don't go without making sure the right authorities are aware we're walking into something. You think he's real? I asked. Marcus paused. I think he's either real or he's bait. Either way, the move is the same, controlled, documented, and protected. That night I didn't sleep much. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Cross's face in that conference room. Rage and panic twisting into something reckless. The kind of expression people get when they realize they're losing control. In the morning, Marcus met me outside the cafe with two things. A slim briefcase and a second man who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. This is Detective Alvarez, Marcus said quietly. He's not here officially. He's here to watch. And to make sure that if someone tries something stupid, we're not the only ones who saw it. Detective Alvarez nodded once. His eyes flicked across the street, across the parked cars, across the reflections in windows. Yulana, he asked. Yes. He studied me. You're the one with the video. I'm the one with the contract, I said. Something almost like approval crossed his face, then vanished. Inside, the cafe smelled like burnt espresso and warm sugar. People talked loudly. Laptops glowed. The barista called names like the world was normal. Marcus chose a table with a clear line of sight to the entrance and the street. Detective Alvarez sat a few tables away, close enough to intervene, far enough not to look like a bodyguard. 11 o'clock came. Then 11:05. My heart kept trying to sprint ahead of time. At 11:07, a man walked in wearing a plain hoodie and a baseball cap pulled low. He moved like someone who expected to be followed. He scanned the room once, then twice, and his gaze locked onto me. He approached slowly. Up close, Elias Grant looked older than his voice had sounded. Early 40s maybe. Tired eyes. The kind of face that had learned to be blank on purpose. His hands weren't shaking, but they weren't relaxed either. He sat without asking. You brought help, he said, glancing toward Detective Alvarez like he clocked him instantly. Marcus didn't deny it. You asked us not to come alone. Elias nodded. Good. It means you're not reckless. Reckless people don't live long around Noah Cross. I forced myself to breathe. Why now, Elias? Elias looked at me for a moment, then reached into his hoodie pocket and pulled out a small flash drive. He didn't slide it across the table yet. He just held it, as if even touching it was risky. This is a copy, he said. Not the only one. Marcus's posture didn't change, but I saw his attention sharpen. What's on it? Emails, Elias said. Internal reports. security footage logs, a file chain of incident reviews that didn't match reality, and a spreadsheet that shows where money went after certain events. I swallowed. Events like what? Elias's jaw flexed. Workplace incidents that became medical emergencies with no witnesses. A warehouse fall that became employee negligence. A late-night site accident that got blamed on equipment, so the company didn't have to pay. Families who got hush checks. People who were told they'd lose everything if they spoke. My stomach rolled, not from gore, but from the cold, familiar shape of power rewriting truth. You said killed. I whispered. Elias met my eyes. When you cut corners on safety to save money and someone doesn't come home, what do you call it? The cafe noise blurred for a second. Marcus spoke evenly. Why bring this to us? Elias's mouth tightened. Because you're in the spotlight. You're loud. And he hates loud. Quiet problems he can bury. Loud problems attract the kind of attention that makes even his friends step back. And what do you want? Marcus asked again. Elias's gaze darted to the window, then back. Immunity. Or at least a deal. Protection. A chance not to be his next cleanup. Detective Alvarez stood and walked over casually, like he just decided he wanted a coffee refill near our table. He didn't sit, but he was close enough now that Elias noticed his badge clip under his jacket. Elias exhaled, slow. So you did bring real help, he murmured. I'm not promising anything, Alvarez said quietly. But if you have evidence of criminal conduct, you bring it to the right place and you do it the right way. Elias gave a short nod, then finally slid the flash drive across to Marcus. One condition, Elias said. You don't go to Cross first. You don't warn him. If he gets a whiff, he'll start burning things. Marcus's expression stayed neutral. We won't warn him. Elias's eyes shifted to me. And you, he said. Stop being brave in rooms where everyone else is paid to be quiet. Brave gets people hurt. Smart gets people free. I wanted to snap back. Instead, I asked the only question that mattered. Why did you help him in the first place? Elias didn't flinch, but something hardened behind his eyes. Because I thought I could keep things contained. I told myself it was damage control. That I was preventing worse. That I was the firewall. He leaned in slightly. And then I realized I was just the guy holding the door shut while the smoke filled the building. He stood abruptly, chair scraping. That's all you're getting from me in daylight, he said. If you're serious, Marcus Hale will know how to reach me through channels I'll leave. If you're not, then forget my name. He turned to leave. Elias, I called. He paused without facing me. Thank you, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. For choosing the side that ends this. He didn't respond. He just walked out, disappearing into the crowd like he'd never existed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Marcus picked up the flash drive as if it weighed 100 pounds. We go straight to the DA, he said. Detective Alvarez nodded. And we do it now. The next 48 hours moved like a storm. Marcus filed an emergency motion tied to my existing case. Contract breach, retaliation, and workplace assault. Alvarez, now officially involved, pushed the flash drive through proper channels. The district attorney's office requested more information. More names surfaced. More reports. More patterns. And then the thing Cross feared most happened. Other people started talking. Former employees saw my video and recognized their own fear in it. People who had been shoved into silence by money or threats suddenly realized silence wasn't safe anymore either. Lily gave a statement. Her hands shook the entire time, but she didn't back down. Kevin, of all people, tried to pretend he'd always supported me until Marcus showed him a transcript of his jokes from the office that had been recorded in a group chat. Kevin's face went gray. I didn't mean it like that. Marcus smiled politely. Of course you didn't. You just said it like that. 2 days after Elias's meeting, Cross made his move. He didn't come at me with fists this time. He came with paper. I got served with a lawsuit accusing me of sabotage, defamation, and theft of proprietary information. The documents were thick, aggressive, designed to overwhelm. Marcus flipped through them once and said, "Good. Good." I echoed, stunned. "It means he's scared," Marcus said. When powerful people file nonsense fast, it's because they're trying to create fog before the light hits. The light hit anyway. Because the DA didn't care about Cross's ego. They cared about evidence. A week later, Marcus and I walked into a courthouse not for my case, but for the first hearing tied to the larger investigation. I didn't sit at the front. I sat behind Marcus, hands folded, spine straight, listening to lawyers argue about what counted as relevant. Cross arrived late, like he thought time itself owed him respect. He wore a perfect suit and a smile that didn't touch his eyes. When he saw me, that smile tightened. He leaned toward his attorney, whispered something, then looked directly at me across the room. His eyes promised consequences. I didn't look away. Not because I was fearless. Because I was done feeding fear. After the hearing, as Marcus and I walked outside, a black sedan rolled slowly past the curb. The tinted window lowered an inch. Cross's voice drifted out, soft and poisonous. "You think you've won?" he said. "You've just made yourself interesting." Marcus stepped slightly in front of me. "Keep driving, Noah." Cross chuckled. "Oh, I will." The window rose. The sedan glided away like a thread on wheels. My pulse hammered. Marcus didn't turn to comfort me. He didn't offer soft words. He just said he's testing boundaries. Good. Let him. Every move he makes now is another brick we can use to build a wall around him. That night, Detective Alvarez called. "Your restraining order request is going through," he said. "You're also going to have officers doing drive-bys near your place for a while." I exhaled, shaky. "Thank you." Alvarez's voice softened slightly. "Don't thank me yet. People like Cross don't stop because they feel bad. They stop because they're forced." Force came faster than I expected. 2 mornings later, I woke up to a flood of messages. "Did you see the news? Turn on the TV. Check your phone right now." My hands trembled as I opened a link. There it was. Footage of investigators walking into Cross's company building with boxes and sealed evidence bags. Another clip showed Cross himself being escorted out by 2 officers, his face carved into rigid disbelief. For once, he didn't look powerful. He looked like a man realizing the world wouldn't bend for him anymore. I sank onto my couch, breath leaving me in one long, shaky release. It wasn't victory yet. It was momentum. Marcus called an hour later. They executed search warrants. They seized servers, email archives, HR records, financial records. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now," Marcus said. "We let them find everything he thought he buried." Over the next month, my life became a loop of statements, legal meetings, and cautious quiet. The internet still remembered my video. It had spread into commentary channels, workplace advocacy pages, and new segments about labor rights. Some people called me brave. Some called me reckless. Some called me a liar because they couldn't stand the idea that the world really worked like that. But then more victims spoke. And suddenly I wasn't a single story anymore. I was a pattern breaking. Cross's lawyers tried to paint me as unstable. They tried to frame the conflict as a personal feud. They tried to throw money at the problem like it was an erase button. It didn't work. Because Cross had made one fatal mistake. He'd assumed I had nothing but my job. And he was right. That's why taking it away didn't scare me as much as he expected. When you've already lost the thing you built your identity on, you stop being easy to threaten. One afternoon, Marcus sat across from me in his office, a thick folder between us. "They offered a settlement," he said. I stared at the folder like it was a snake. "For how much?" Marcus named a number that made my stomach flip. More than the bonus. More than my salary. More than what I'd ever seen in one place. I didn't smile. "What's the catch?" I asked. "Non-disclosure," Marcus said. "They want you quiet." I leaned back, letting the silence stretch. "I'm not signing my voice away," I said finally. Marcus watched me for a moment. "That decision will cost you time." "I don't care," I said. "He took enough from me already. He doesn't get my silence too." Marcus nodded once, like he'd expected that. "Okay," he said. "Then we go all the way." The trial didn't happen quickly. The law is slow on purpose. Cross tried every delay possible. His team filed motions like confetti. But the investigation kept tightening. More documents surfaced. More internal messages. More evidence of a culture built on intimidation and shortcuts, and rewards for cruelty. And then Elias Grant resurfaced. Not in person. In the form of a sealed statement delivered through Marcus to the DA. When Marcus read it to me, his voice stayed steady, but I saw something like anger in his eyes. Elias described meetings where safety upgrades were rejected because they were bad for margins. He described supervisors being told to handle witnesses. He described Cross laughing about how easily people could be controlled with fear and a paycheck. The final line of Elias's statement hit me hardest. I told myself I was protecting the company. I was really protecting him. I sat silently after Marcus finished. "He's testifying?" I asked. Marcus nodded. "If the deal goes through, he's cooperating." I exhaled. Good. The day Cross was formally indicted, I didn't celebrate. I didn't open champagne. I didn't post a triumphant message. I sat in my kitchen with a cup of tea I didn't drink and let myself feel something unfamiliar. Relief. Not clean relief. Not perfect relief. Relief with jagged edges, because what happened to me didn't unhappen. Relief because the machine that crushed people had finally jammed. Weeks later, Cross's attorney requested a private meeting with Marcus. When Marcus told me, I laughed. One sharp sound. More disbelief than humor. What does he want? I asked. He wants to talk, Marcus said. Of course he does. We met in a conference room that smelled like disinfectant and expensive cologne. Cross sat at the far end of the table, his suit still perfect, but his face thinner, the arrogance cracked in places he couldn't hide. He looked at me like I was a problem he still didn't understand. You could have had everything, he said quietly. I blinked. Everything. He leaned back, hands folded. Money. Status. A future. You were good at your job, Lana. You didn't have to make enemies. I stared at him, genuinely curious. Is that how you see it? I asked. That I made enemies by wanting what I earned? Cross's mouth tightened. You embarrass me. There it is, I said softly. Not the deal. Not the company. Not the employees. Your pride. His eyes flashed. Marcus's voice cut in. Thomas Steele. This meeting is not for therapy, Noah. If you have an offer, make it. Cross's jaw worked. He looked at Marcus, then back at me. I'll pay, he said. The bonus. More than the bonus. I'll sign it today. And you'll retract the video. You'll tell them it was a misunderstanding. My body went still. For a moment, a quiet, dangerous kind of clarity settled in my chest. I leaned forward slightly. No, I said. Cross's eyes narrowed. Think carefully. I am, I replied, voice steady. This is the first time in my life I've been completely sure. He scoffed. You think you're some hero now? I let out a slow breath. No. I think I'm someone you underestimated. And now you're paying for it. Cross's face twisted with contempt. You'll end up alone. I smiled faintly. Maybe. But I won't end up owned. Something flickered across his expression. Then rage, fear, something close to disbelief that I wasn't folding. He stood abruptly, chair scraping. You don't know what you started, he said. I stood too, meeting his stare. I know exactly what I started, I said. I started the part where you stop. Cross stormed out without another word. Outside, sunlight hit my face like I'd been underwater for months. Marcus walked beside me down the courthouse steps. You did well, he said. I exhaled. I didn't feel like I did. That's because you're still in it, Marcus said. But you will get out of it. And slowly I did. Months later, the case reached its end in the way most real battles end. Not with dramatic speeches, but with documents, judgments, and consequences. Cross didn't get to rewrite the story. The company board cut ties. Investors fled. His name became a liability. Criminal charges moved forward on the bigger investigation, the kind that didn't vanish just because someone had a tailored suit and friends in the right places. My civil case ended with a settlement that didn't buy my silence. The amount wasn't the point anymore. The terms were. They acknowledged the contract violation. They acknowledged retaliation. They acknowledged wrongdoing. And for the first time, it felt like the world had put something in writing that couldn't be laughed off in a conference room. I didn't go back to sales. Not because I couldn't. Because I refused to build my life inside someone else's cage again. I took a portion of the settlement and started something small. A consulting firm that helped companies build ethical sales systems and helped employees understand contracts before they sign them. It wasn't glamorous at first. It didn't make headlines. But it felt clean. Lily joined me 6 months later after she quit Cross's company for good. The first day she walked into my office, she looked around like she couldn't believe she was allowed to breathe. I thought you'd hate me, she admitted quietly. Why? Because I didn't stop it, she whispered. Because I didn't do more. I walked over and handed her a folder. You did what you could with the power you had, I said. Now you're here. That's doing more. She blinked fast, then nodded like she was holding herself together by sheer will. Okay, she said. Okay. I'm ready. A year after the video, I got one last message from an unknown number. No greeting. No name. Just a single line. He can't hurt you anymore. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. Not because I didn't care. Because I didn't want a shadow tethering itself to my life again. Even in the form of reassurance. That night, I stood by my apartment window and watched the city lights blink like distant signals. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt something better. Quiet. Stable. Meaning. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't waiting for the next shoe to drop. I was building a life where no one could hold my worth hostage again. Then my phone buzzed with a new email. Subject line: Victor Sterling. I opened it with a calm I didn't have a year ago. Lana, I owe you an apology for walking out that day without asking if you were okay. I handled my company's risk. I didn't handle your humanity. I'd like to make that right. I have a proposal, one that doesn't involve buzzwords. I stared at the screen, heartbeat steady. Some endings don't slam like doors. Some endings open into a different room. I took a breath, then typed back. Mr. Sterling, thank you. I'm listening.